The autumn wind carried the scent of smoke and ash through Millbrook Forest, and Bramble knew her world was ending. The old badger pressed her grizzled snout against the cool earth of her set entrance, listening to the distant rumble of machinery that had been growing louder each day. For 43 seasons, she had called this network of tunnels home, but the humans were coming with their yellow monsters that devoured trees and flattened the ancient burrows of her ancestors. Bramble's weathered claws scraped against the packed dirt as she retreated deeper into her set. The main chamber, once spacious enough for her entire family, now felt cramped around her aging frame. Her mate Flint had passed 2 winters ago, and their cubs had long since established territories of their own. She was alone, and at her age, starting over seemed impossible. The sound of splintering wood echoed through the forest as another oak fell. Bramble's ears flattened against her skull. She had survived harsh winters, territorial disputes with neighboring badgers, and even a close encounter with a pack of feral dogs, but this was different. This was the systematic destruction of everything she had ever known. As dawn broke, Bramble emerged from her set to survey the damage. The construction crew had advanced another 100 yards overnight, leaving behind a wasteland of churned earth and broken branches. The stream where she had fished for crayfish was now clouded with runoff, and the berry patches where she had fattened herself for winter hibernation were buried under piles of debris. But Bramble was not ready to surrender. Her grandmother had told her stories of the Great Migration, when badgers had traveled vast distances to escape the expanding human settlements. If her ancestors could do it, so could she. The first challenge was food. With her usual hunting grounds destroyed, Bramble had to venture into unfamiliar territory. She followed her nose to a small farm on the forest's edge, where the scent of grubs and earthworms drew her to a freshly plowed field. Working quickly in the pre-dawn darkness, she dug shallow holes, extracting fat beetle larvae and storing them in her cheek pouches. The farmer's dog caught her scent on the 3rd night. Bramble heard the German shepherd's bark echoing across the field and knew she had seconds to escape. Her powerful legs carried her toward the stone wall that bordered the property, but the dog was faster. Just as teeth snapped at her hindquarters, Bramble dove into a drainage culvert that ran beneath the farmer's driveway. The dog's frustrated barking faded as she crawled through the narrow concrete tube, emerging on the other side with her dignity intact but her food supply compromised. Desperation drove her to take greater risks. Bramble began raiding garbage cans in the nearby town, her keen nose leading her to discarded meat scraps and fallen fruit. She learned to time her forays with the garbage trucks, arriving just after the humans had wheeled their bins to the curb, but before the collectors made their rounds. One foggy morning, while investigating a particularly promising dumpster behind a butcher shop, Bramble encountered another refugee from the forest destruction. A young red fox named Russet crouched behind a stack of cardboard boxes, his russet coat matted and his ribs showing through his fur. "The machines took my den too," Russet said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I've been living on scraps for weeks." Bramble studied the fox with calculating eyes. In the forest, they would have been competitors, even enemies. But these were extraordinary circumstances. "There's enough waste here for both of us," she said finally. "But we work together or not at all." Their unlikely partnership proved beneficial. Russet's agility allowed him to access high places and squeeze through small openings, while Bramble's powerful claws could tear open stubborn containers and dig through compacted refuse. They developed a system of signals. A sharp bark from Russet meant humans were approaching, while Bramble's low growl indicated the all clear. As winter approached, their temporary arrangement became a matter of survival. The construction had paused for the season, But Bramble knew it would resume with the spring thaw. She needed to find a permanent solution, and fast. The answer came from an unexpected source. While foraging near the town's outskirts, Bramble discovered an abandoned farm that had been vacant for years. The old barn was partially collapsed, but the root cellar remained intact, its stone walls providing the kind of secure, underground shelter that appealed to her badger instincts. The cellar required extensive modifications. Bramble spent weeks digging additional tunnels, creating multiple escape routes and storage chambers. Russet contributed by gathering dried grass and leaves for bedding, his fox's eye for comfort complementing Bramble's practical engineering. Their first winter in the root cellar tested every survival skill they possessed. Food was scarce, and the bitter cold seeped through cracks in the stone walls. Bramble's thick coat and layer of fat helped her endure the worst nights, but Russet struggled with the temperature. She found herself sharing her body heat with the fox, their natural animosity forgotten in the face of mutual need. Spring brought new challenges. The construction resumed with increased intensity, and the noise carried even to their distant refuge. Worse, other displaced animals began appearing in the area: raccoons, opossums, and even a family of skunks, all competing for the same limited resources. Bramble realized that survival meant more than just finding food and shelter. It meant adapting to a fundamentally changed world. She began teaching Russet the finer points of burrow construction, while he showed her how to move silently through human-dominated landscapes. Together, they developed new hunting strategies that took advantage of the town's rhythms and routines. The breakthrough came when Bramble discovered the town's community garden. The well-meaning humans had created raised beds filled with rich soil and planted with vegetables that attracted the very insects and grubs she preferred. Better yet, the gardeners used organic methods, meaning no dangerous pesticides to worry about. Working under cover of darkness, Bramble began carefully harvesting the garden's secondary bounty, the pest insects that the humans were trying to eliminate. She took only what she needed, leaving the plants themselves undamaged. It was a delicate balance, but one that provided a sustainable food source without drawing unwanted attention. As summer progressed, Bramble's confidence grew. She had not just survived the destruction of her forest home, she had adapted and thrived. The root cellar had become a proper set, complete with multiple chambers and a sophisticated ventilation system. Her partnership with Russet had evolved into genuine friendship, their different skills complementing each other perfectly. The real test came when a family of young badgers appeared at her door, refugees from the latest phase of construction. The cubs were thin and frightened, their parents having been separated during the chaos of evacuation. Bramble's first instinct was to turn them away. Resources were limited, and additional mouths to feed would strain her carefully balanced system. But looking at their desperate faces, she remembered her own terror when the machines first arrived. These cubs needed what she had needed, not just food and shelter, but hope.